TVC Breakfast. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. The Nation newspaper with a banner headline: Tinubu directs payments of 1.5 trillion naira to debt. 1.5 trillion naira debt to local contractors. Interministerial panel to fix payments delay. More patronage for indigenous firms. Next is the Punch newspaper. Federal government pushes for 17.8 trillion naira new loans to finance 2026 budget. Borrowing jumps 72% as revenue dips by 8.67 trillion naira. Debt servicing to go up nearly half of 2026 earnings. Next is the Guardian newspaper. 54 taxes charges account for 35% of airfare cost. Stifle traffic demand. Next is this: Nigeria. VIP police withdrawal order stays, says Tinubu. Directs NSA, IGP, others to ensure full compliance. Senate alleges selective implementation. Next is Nigeria News Direct. Protection of VIPs, VVIPs, not responsibility of police. President Tinubu as Senate appeals for exemption from police withdrawal order as FAC, that's the Federal Executive Council, urge ranching implementation to reduce farmer-herder conflict. Next is the Daily Sun. Tinubu senators fight over police withdrawal. President tells IGP to ensure full enforcement of directive. Daily Independent, no going back on withdrawal of police from VIPs. Tinubu, senators seek exemption of lawmakers from directive. Blueprint newspaper, police withdrawal from VIPs, Senate seeks exemption. Tinubu insists no going back. Platform Times, Nigeria reboots forest guard system to secure 1,129 hotspots. Livestock reform to turn conflict areas into ranches. Guards to be armed, grazing reserves converted into ranches. Last but not least, NFF Sport and Life, that's the Nation Sport and Life. NFF roars: we don't pay Shell's wages. Say it is NSC's job. Admits paying managers bonuses. Eagles coach owed for September, October. I'll be doing this with my colleagues, Piotr Shomi, Ria, and of course, Olamide Odekunle. But I'll start off with Olamide, and then we'll have our in-house analyst to help us make sense of all of this altogether. If you look at the Nation newspaper, it's saying Tinubu directs payments of 1.5 trillion naira debt to local contractors. And there is this interministerial panel to fix payment delay, more patronage for indigenous firms. Over the months, we've seen local contractors who bit the road, protesting at the gate of the National Assembly, yes. Protesting, in different public buildings, telling the president, asking the president, or let's say the federal government, to intervene in paying their backlogs. Some of them claimed 4 trillion naira, but the amount the federal government was able to ascertain that, yes, this is the correct figure, amounts to 1.5 trillion naira. So isn't that good news, you think? It's great news. It's essentially a stimulus package without calling it one. This could revive stalled projects. It could protect jobs. There's so much more life that will come from this. Because for the longest time, federal projects have been stalled because contractors have not been paid. And if you know Nigerian contractors, they don't play about their money. Of course. We saw them protesting. Even you don't play with them. Some of those people have actually died. Contractors they're part of the backbone of our ministries. Yes, of course, we have their family. So there has to be a proper system put in place to ensure that these people receive what is due to them, even those who have died.
And when we talk about this, let's go to figures now. Over 2,000 contractors are old, and that is a big problem if you look at it. Because if these people are out there doing the job, I'll just give you a little instance. I remember talking to someone, and the person will say, I don't want government contracts, I don't want it. And why do they say that? Because at the end of the day, they do not actually get what they are owed, or even though they pay them in installments, and you see it drags over a long time. And some of the times, we do not see with these contractors because they borrow money to do the work, and that's something that we forget to even speak about. So some of them, we put them in debt that they just get frustrated at the end of the day. I'm happy that the president has made this bold statement that let these people get what they're due.
Yeah.
The other day we spoke about it, we saw contractors coming out to protest in Nigeria, and you just look at it, why would somebody do their work and then they're protesting for payment? It's the same way people will come out and protest for pension money to be paid to them. I just feel like we should get to a point whereby if you do your job, you get what you're supposed to get. And to the contractors as well, if they do a job, they do a great job, let them be paid. And this is saying to the federal government that at the end of the day, these people should not be owed. If you've agreed that this is the amount you want to pay them, the president has made the statement. We just hope it's not a statement that he has made but will not be followed through.
Most definitely. So it's one thing for one to be given the job, it's another thing for you to receive your payment as and when due. Not, tarrying, not lingering for too long, so much so that these people will be, protesting, even dropping dead in the process.
I think it's about complying with payment schedule, on the part of the federal government. If you look at the way contracts are awarded, in most of the cases, as far as I know, there will be companies. This will be limited liability company who would have provided bank statement to show, bank letters to show that they can fund that project before getting it. But along the line, after collecting the first payment, contractors tend to slow down and expecting the government to come up with the second payment even before the job is evaluated. I mean, based on the completion schedule. So that's one part of the problem. The other part is federal government itself to comply with the payment schedule. What the president has done now, and I completely agree with Olamide that this is brilliant. It will stimulate the economy, in a very big way, and we will move away from the issue of abandoning projects. We have over 18 trillion naira abandoned federal government projects in Nigeria, and this will ensure that projects are completed, not abandoned at the end of a tenure. I think this is brilliant.
Most definitely. So the Punch newspaper says federal government pushes for 17.89 trillion naira new loans to finance 2026 budget. Borrowing jumps 72% as revenue dips by 8.67 trillion naira. Debt servicing to go up nearly half of 2026 earnings. I guess that debt servicing, I think that amounts to about 20.1 million. Is it million or trillion naira?
Trillion.
Yeah. So it is one thing to say we have a budget of 50, is it 43 or 54 trillion naira, and then we have to push for new loans. And I know, Nigerians, whenever they hear the word loans, you said we have money.
That's what they're thinking.
Our foreign reserves has actually risen to $45 trillion. I mean, is it $1 trillion? I don't know why am I making $1 trillion because the money is so staggering and quite fearful.
What is the only thing? I know this is a very serious issue, but the only thing that comes to mind is the Senate almost coming to blows the other day. I don't know if any of you saw that video over is this the 16 billion naira loan or the budget. They were almost coming to blows. Our leaders are struggling to agree on the figures, and what that tells me is that.
Are you referring to that of yesterday? Or?
That of yesterday.
Oh, yesterday they are also fighting over invitation of the CBN.
Governor. But what that conflict tells me about the people that are supposed to be agreeing on uniform figures is the fact that we cannot agree where development is at. If you cannot agree how much you need unanimously, there's a problem with how you are gauging development and the infrastructure that we need.
That's right.
It's as simple as that.
And for me to speak about this, I'll take you all back to 2005. I know I was a very little girl then, but Mr. Biodo, I know that you would. Yes, but Mr. Biodo, I'm sure you know about this. Remember there was a time at that time where Nigeria was owing a lot of money, and then the president then Olusegun Obasanjo had to be traveling to different places to say, you know what, we've paid some. The interest is now a whole lot. They need to waive it up. I don't know if you can remember, about that issue. Yes. And when I heard about this, that's just what I remembered. I do not want Nigeria to get to that point that we are owing that much again. The interest has gone so high, and we are now struggling to pay the money back. So for me, I've never had a problem with owing, but my problem is when you owe, are you able to pay it back? And these monies that are given, they are not just given like that, they are interest. So we are talking that, our foreign reserves are high. We're talking that, we're doing well. But if we're still taking money, we cannot complete projects. How then do we now build this solid economy? And I'm just hoping that 2005 doesn't happen again.
So what say you to
the
me
most
as
important thing is,
concern?
what are we spending money on? If you are borrowing infrastructure, can people really see the benefit of it? Can they physically see what we are spending money on? I think that's quite important, and it's a marked departure from the past. But when you look at this issue of debt, A lot of them are legacy debts, and many of them are inherited, and now they are maturing for payment, and that's where the figure of 20.1 trillion, is from. Now, we have to pay them in line with our obligation. So along the line, you will have to get new money in order to fund new projects. Otherwise, you will stall capital development completely in the country, and that is not acceptable. When you look at the United States of America, that's the richest country on earth. US has a debt of $37 trillion, and then they're still seeking to borrow $1 trillion from China. Now, the issue is not the debt. It's your debt to GDP ratio, and how are you managing that? In our own case, we've been able to, Nigeria has tried. We've been able to manage the debt, to GDP ratio from about 80%, is now about 58 or 56%. Ideally, it should be 40%. We all know that, but we need to come down a bit. But as we are paying some of these things, so also you have to borrow to fund, existing projects.
And what about the interest as well? Because we cannot talk about this without the interest, because some of these loans don't just come like that. They come with really high interest.
Absolutely. But many countries, you see, why are we using Sukuk? It's because it's interest-free. Then some of this loan, ADB loan, are just about 5%, 3% from multilateral institutions. It depends on whether they're for short-term financing or long-term financing.
All right.
So there are a lot of factors influencing that, apart from the domestic debt borrowing.
Absolutely. So the Guardian newspaper says 54 taxes charges account for 35% of air cost, stifle traffic demand. We won't belabor this. We actually started off discussing this. Even Festus Kiyama is saying that the more we have people getting into this airline investment, then it's going to drive the price down. Well, we'll see what he's going to present when he gets to the Senate. Now, this Nigeria says VIP police withdrawal order stays, says Tinubu. The same thing with the Nigerian News Direct, protection of VIPs, VVIPs, not responsibility of police, as well as Daily Sun saying Tinubu senator fights over police withdrawal. The senators, the lawmakers are saying, okay, fine, we agree. Withdraw the police, but give it to us. Let us have it. And we have 109 senators and 360 representatives.
Absolutely. It's as simple as this. Policing is for public service, not personal protection. That is what it is.
But I told you, also doing public service.
Let's calm down. I think a lot of our politicians have become very dependent on state-funded protection.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And to watch them yesterday, the president did say, you have to get my personal approval. If your situation is one that is high risk, then you will get my approval. And I saw some people, some members of Senate come out to say, well, I'm seeing other people's children having personal protection, and those sorts of arguments. You cannot compare the protection that a president needs to that of a senator. It's that disparity. You cannot compare it. Our president he's not even, when we discuss this conversation, he's not even in the equation. He should go around with as much protection as he needs. But this reliance on state-funded protection, oftentimes the intentions behind it are not always altruistic. A lot of times it's big manism. If we're being honest, a lot of times it's big manism. I miss when our leaders would stand on the top of cars and they wouldn't fear a single thing because they knew that they were doing their job. They knew that they were loved by the people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then why are you so scared of the roads that you're supposed to be protecting? Why are you so scared of the community that you're supposed to be protecting?
You still always have enemies.
Of
And
course.
then your enemies might still want to be after your life. So you need protection, however.
I'm not disagreeing to that, but what happened to the national defense? Why don't people want to go there? Because the president has said that
You mean the
NSC, like,
Yes.
let us use those people,
Civil
let's train
defense.
them, let's use the civil defense. Because at the end of the day, the police cannot do everything. So I'm just going to give
civil
you...
defense, we don't have that much. I think about
But then
70,
why don't we now
something.
train and
So
add more people? We were speaking about training them. I'm saying this thing that everybody go feel am, because at this point, we cannot have 10, 20 police officers with one person when people in rural areas, people in different places are not safe. I'll speak about Abdul Inge, the Bauchi Central. He was speaking about it, and one of the claims he made, he said, oh, he's still seeing VIPs with other people. And that's what I want. I want right now, we should make sure that this rule applies to everybody. Not that we say remove from these people, you still see VIPs with these people. The other day we were speaking about it. We saw a prominent person still had a police officer in in his village home. I'm not going to mention the name.
Right.
So if you do that, people will now wonder, are you against us? Why are we the people that you're not saying that, police should not stand with us? Let's also speak about Aliu. He also spoke about the fact that he has been seeing, police officers with other people. The president is saying that no going back. And I love the fact that he's mentioning no going back.
Absolutely.
We've made the statement, we're not going back on it. But the only thing I'm praying for and I'm hoping is that it's implemented properly. Not that some people will have police officers, some people will not have police officers.
Yeah, we've seen a situation where, for the first time, there is a firm resolution on the part of the president to say that no, enough is enough. We have to address this problem. In the past, you don't have a situation where the IG or the president will say no, withdrawal, escorts from VIPs and all that, and no alternative was provided. In this situation, the president provided alternative, which is go to civil defense and get the necessary protection you need. I need the policemen to secure communities and secure our roads. And in addition to that, one of the arguments is always about how long it will take to train police officers or train security personnel. Yeah, I said, look, use all the NYSC camps in Nigeria, 36 plus the Federal Capital Territory NYSC camp. That's 37, for training purposes.
But the civil defense that we have, they are not up to
who appropriates money is the same National Assembly. Who appropriates money? They should simply, ask the executive, if need be, it's too late now, this is December, for a supplementary budget, to augment the finances available to civil defense so that they can recruit more money. I hope they will now be looking into that budget against next year.
Absolutely.
So that they can get the necessary
because of our time, we need to race on. Let me stay with you on Platform Times, with the Nigeria Reboot Forest Guard system to secure 1,129 hotspots, livestock reform to turn conflict areas into ranches, guards to be armed, grazing reserves converted into ranches. Recently, we saw videos of people who are the forest guard who have been trained, and the president had also given the directive to the DSS to release those ones that have been trained, into our forest. So, but the hotspots, 1,129 hotspots to be secured by this forest guard. How far-reaching do you think this would go?
It will help a lot. If you look at what they have done, the forest guards are not just security men. They are also trained on intelligence. Don't forget the DSS actually provided the training, and they're under the Office of the National Security Advisor. They will be deployed. We are talking about ranching. Some of these ranches will be in the bush. They're not going to be in towns and villages and cities. So therefore, there's a need for protection, not only for the ranches, but also...
Who's to pretend over these ranches? Is it the federal government? Is it the state government? Who runs the
ranches? Look, a lot depends on if you have your business, even anywhere, you need protection. You need to ensure that things are your businesses are not bankrupted by criminal elements. Don't forget, some of these cattle areas are also facing the problem of rustling, cattle rustling. They deserve protection also, while those who are criminals, who are attacking people, needs to be arrested and dealt with. A lot of them live in the bush. So once you bring in the forest rangers or forest guards, they will not only provide intelligence, but they would also be able to tackle the situation before it gets out of hand.
Absolutely. Well, finally, as the Sport and Life, NFF roars. We don't pay Shell's wages. Says it is NSC's job. Admits paying managers' bonuses. Eagles coach owed for September, October, and I believe we all shared our sentiments. Yesterday. Ahead of AFCON 2026. Why won't you?
Because when you owe these people, how do you expect them to give their all? We keep talking about citizens should be patriotic, but how do you be patriotic when you're not even giving what you are due?
So whoever is.
Why must it be the NSC, National Sports Commission, that should pay for? The football coach for our country. Why not NFF? Who collects all the royalties, all the money paid, by CAF and FIFA, for matches played? It goes to NFF. Why is it the NSC that is paying for the coach?
And now they are shifting blames.
So many things need to be done by the federal government. The table is so full. Well, that's about it for the newspapers up for review. Coming up on TVC Breakfast, we'll take a closer look at how insecurity shapes Nigeria's economic choices and the responses keeping activities afloat.